yeah, he's black, but he's not really black.
Why are you gonna go and give him that white name?
You wear bean blues now. A lot of people at Clemson changed you, didn't they? Dress in white.
Acting white?
Yes.
I have no idea. I don't know.
Idea.
No.
Okay.
White, okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Oh goodness. Okay.
Acting white?
Yeah.
Woo!
Any stereotype has at least some grain of truth in it.
Say acting white, I think of, on Clemson's campus, I think of the sorority girl or the fraternity guy that wears the really short shorts, the sneakers, the New Balance, the frockets and the hats, and the sorority girls that wear the leggings or the tights with the big t-shirts and have all the function outfits and stuff.
Uppity.
The biggest stereotype I know is that white guys can't dance. and then white girls like Starbucks and all dress the same.
Proper. Man, proper.
Someone with a lot of money, or parents with a lot of money. Someone who is very privileged but takes advantage of being privileged.
Sometimes they don't think. You know the scary movies, right?
Yeah.
The white people always, they do the dumb things.
The white people in the South tend to even dress differently. Like there's almost this uniform,
These very specific attributes that are not because of the skin color of white, but more of socioeconomic status, I'd say.
That people think that they're like the opposite, like uneducated or like have less money or come from families from like less money.
To say that acting black is the same as acting along the lines of a low economic status is not, it has nothing to do with skin color. It just has to do with the history of this country and the communities and socioeconomic issues of the past that are still affecting us today.
Ghetto, loud, ignorant.
Well, when everybody else thinks about black people, they think of like being ratchet, being loud, always having a problem.
As a faculty member, I have noticed over the years that a lot of black students are very comfortable and very comfortable approaching me. And yet I've also seen a group that are a little, I don't want to say standoffish, because I think it's more that they don't feel comfortable,
If you see a group of Asian students, black students, Hispanic students, they tend to not wear the same clothes and same hairstyle and things of that to nearly the same extent.
I feel like black people get a negative stereotype. I feel like black people, they dress a little bit more rugged. They have on baggy clothes, clothes that may not fit, pants may be sagging, clothes that show off a little bit more skin for some females.
It sounds very hurtful.
I don't like it. I don't, because acting white, and we're gonna put this in quotes because it should be, is like talking proper and like things like that. That's like the main thing. Like when you actually talk like you've been educated, it's acting white. And I don't like that, because why is that specified to like a race? Like if you're educated no matter what color you are.
No.
No. Why?
Because it's like, why do we have to talk about like, why do I need to be classified about something I do because it's the color of my skin?
I don't like it. Like, I don't think that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't really know that was that big of an issue. But I guess maybe it makes more sense regionally.
is also just fitting in, really, really, really fitting in, not sticking out, not being different, and there, you know, the easiest way for a minority to fit in would have just been to like subscribe to those codes. And
kinda, not really. I would hear it every now and then. It'll be like, oh, you're acting white, like you're dressing like, you know, I would have khaki pants on and a button-up shirt tucked in, and I would always try to dress nicely, and it would be like every now and then, oh, you're acting white, or just based on like the things I would say or the conversations that I would be having about certain topics, it would be like you're acting white. But it wasn't really like a dominant conversation before high school, or well, before college, excuse me.
Once you got to college?
Oh, once I got to college, it was almost like an everyday thing. Because I hang around a lot of, I have a lot of white friends, people assume that I don't think that I'm black, and I think that I'm white, and it like equates to me feeling like I'm better than other people. And I feel like when you think about acting white, it all comes down to is acting white better than acting black.
I come from a mixed background, so you know, half family's black, half family's white. And trust me, not within the family, but outside of the family, within my friend groups, I've been like told, dude, you act white.
We moved up to Ohio, and apparently my life changed then, because apparently I went from being around all black people to being around all white people, and being around the all white people apparently changed the way that I talk, the way that I dress, my dialect and everything. So, up to this day, I still go home around all my family and they go, stop acting white.
My elementary school was pretty diverse. I'd say it wasn't quite 50-50, but black and white, but it was pretty close. And there was one student in my class who he did very well on a test. He just got a good grade on a test, I remember. And then one of his white friends came up to him and said, "Man, like, look at you, you're acting all white."
The problem probably lies in how they want to be perceived, I guess, and so they care about that more than about actually succeeding, maybe.
They use the excuse that they want to stay with their friends, but they really just don't want that challenge, you know, that perceived challenge, because you know it's very comfortable when you're doing something that you've done your whole life, or you've done for a majority part of your life. And
so it was an African-American professor, and he was in, I think, sociology, maybe anthropology, something like that. And he went, it's apparently well known in education circles, that there's like a zip code in either Cincinnati or Cleveland, one of those two cities in Ohio, which is very wealthy, very high percentage of African American, and despite like wealth usually predicting academic success, they tend to have very poor academic success. His conclusion was, you know, that basically the students in, you know, like a student in a bad neighborhood school, like, you know, could be like, I'm trying to get out of the ghetto, I'm trying to work my way up, you know, like, and so they could academically succeed without social penalties. Mm-hmm. But then when like the richer African American, you know, like kids would go and interact, you know, just social occasions, sports, whatever, with people from like the ghetto, they were automatically seen as, you know, acting white.
I guess I would ask them another question. What is acting white to them? And like try to figure out like what they possibly think they would be doing by like going to those higher classes. And then show them necessarily that it would help them challenge themselves a little bit more if they found these lower classes to be easier, then maybe helping them find that it would be more of a challenge. It might be more fun. They might get to do more. They might get to excel farther in life.
Don't act white. quote unquote, whatever you think is acting white, act how you feel.
I don't know. I would definitely just do the best I can to like encourage them to challenge themselves, not even like, I don't know, try and make them realize that it's not like a race thing and that if you're smart then you should be a level up. Like, don't stay in the lower level if you're obviously like gonna outperform everybody.
I think I would want to encourage them to take advantage of the opportunity, and I tend to think those kind of classes are good, although I think they're also difficult for all the students that are in them.
Like, a lot of times people dumb themselves down because they don't realize the rich history of the culture that they come from. And for me, I never want to see a student, as me being a potential teacher, I never want to see a student not push past their expectations. I believe that they can go further than they can imagine.
I know that the language that started out that people think sounds like slang was actually Gole Geechee, which was the language that the slaves used because they had their own language before they had to learn enough English to communicate with the people that were already over here. And so when they were brought over, they had to kind of learn this new English on a kind of crash course. They weren't able to go to school or anything like that, so they had to like find some way of learning English. And so there was this incredible collision of culture that developed what sounds like slang, but it's not really. It's a combination of words, or it's a combination of cultures and languages that is what African American people spoke. And I think at some point in time during, plantation era, people realized there are, enough African American people here, they could revolt against us. And this idea began to implant itself deep in our minds. And so white people started, we need to make sure there's distinction. We cannot treat them the same, or else they will overcome and they will beat us, and this will be their country.
I'm gonna say it stems from our parents. Or like past generations, not necessarily our parents. But that being said, I definitely can see it in like my grandparents and such, because my grandparents are kind of harsh, can be kind of harsh sometimes. But that being said, I love them. But there comes a point when like I don't know, because like they don't do much, so I'm just like, could I help them see otherwise?
Like social media and like, I know that's like a huge thing, like just social media and how people like Twitter and like there's actually a thing called like Black Twitter. Like it's so like separated from, it's like everything's just black and white. But so I know like social media has a lot to do with it, because like it's like the same thing. Like if you're on like Black Twitter, you're not supposed to like cross over to white Twitter or whatever. Like it's not like these two can't like intermingle, and like they shouldn't. Like if they intermingle, one's acting like the other. Like so I don't know, but I know like right now social media has like a big influence on why we think or why we associate a race with that phrase.
I guess I've never really like looked at it. Like I've always known like something was there, but never like analyze it piece by piece.
Yeah.
Something new to think about.
Like acting white is a perception of when other people, other races of people, particularly minorities, or they speak a certain way, or they dress a certain way, or they hang around a certain group of people, and they get automatically or like classified as acting white.
I think they think that acting white is being more educating, speaking more proper, and just being held to higher standards.
We've been able to ask some questions to people who have really never thought about this statement, and I think it's been really cool to see some of those barriers be broken down. And I think while it may not change everything, like, oh my gosh, I just need to change my whole philosophy, my whole perspective, I think it's going to make them be more conscious of what they say, how they say it, who they say it to.
For me, this project was very personal. I was called an Oreo, sellout, a girl that acted white. Even my grandmother, from the time I was about 4 years old to 7, called me her little white girl just because of how I spoke, dressed, or otherwise presented myself. So for me, I just wanted to know other people's perspectives on it and get their opinions. And if I ever do encounter that student in the hypothetical question, I know how to help them, because this is something that if you don't know how to combat it, it can weigh really, really heavy on your heart. And during this project, it did weigh heavy on my heart, and I had to stop and reflect a lot. But now I think I'm in a place where I could help that student in that question.